So if we would please do a favor for me and make sure that the phones are on the silent position, I would appreciate it immensely. I know. We offer him grace.
I know we do. Because we love sin.
I think mine is, I never get phone calls. That was so unusual for me. And I tried, I have that new phone, I don't know if it works really, but I did go press some buttons, so we'll see.
Right?
See, I just,
I know, right?
You remember,
I just leave mine in the car.
Yeah.
That way I
I do
know
like
You
it's
had
not
to put
wrong.
me on the
I do like
block.
that.
Not
I
everybody
would
goes
call
to
you
cars.
all the time.
True story.
You
True
had to block my
story.
number.
Good
Yeah, we block
morning.
you. We block you.
Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah. Saturday morning.
Right.
All right, so let's just kind of energetically hold the space for anyone else that's going to be entering the room. We'll just welcome them with a smile and all that fun stuff. I'm saying hello to the people online. Hello to the people online. Good morning. Hey. Good morning. If you'd make sure your phone is on silent position, I would appreciate it immensely. Thank you in advance. So,
Oh, that cognac, it's
are y'all ready? Y'all ready for this?
right.
So much energy. Y'all feeling it today?
Yeah.
I think it's because the sun is out and the winds are here. And I feel like when the winds blow through,
Good outside.
it does.
It does.
I
feel
wish
like-
I could get
I
here
feel
and
like-
drink one cup of coffee. I mean, that's just my habit.
It's like that
Yeah.
bowl of porridge. It's just right.
Okay.
It's all right.
So do y'all wanna just like chit chat and then when y'all are ready to start, you can let me know.
I'm ready to start.
Yeah, y'all ready to drop in? Okay.
Ready.
All right. So just take a deep breath, y'all. Let it go. Start to settle into your body and settle into the present moment as your breath becomes deep, peaceful, calm, steady. Breathe in deeply. Let your lungs expand. Let your belly expand. When you breathe out, let your shoulders soften, let your jaw soften, and start to relax. Become aware of the weight of your body, the energy flowing in and out, the space that we're in, the land that we're on, and all of the beings walking on this earth plane right now. Take another deep breath in with me. And just let it go. I feel like these are always a good reset. Just kind of come into the present moment and start to drop everything that's happened before now. Let go of all the stuff that you think you need to do, the places you think you need to go, and just settle into now because it's really all we got. So we can just stretch out this time together and make it supple and enjoyable and expansive and however else we want it. I would like to honor everybody, so making sure that we all try to not talk over each other, listen, make sure the phones are off, everything that is shared here stays here, safe space, all that fun stuff, the rules of engagement. So this is Expansions. I'm Jane. And I'm really happy that y'all are here. Something that came up recently that I think is going to come into the awareness of the collective, so like the greater human population, I think that there's something that's going to come into the awareness and kind of change the way we experience reality. And it may sound a little religious, and y'all know I'm not religious, so just bear with me as I use words and make them fit your beliefs, or don't take them on as your own and just listen. So I know that there are stories about and I don't know them exactly because y'all know I haven't read the Bible. So I know that there are stories about the Savior coming, right? The Messiah, the return of Christ, the return of God, maybe. I don't know if that's a story, but I feel like it might be. You're good. And this coming of the light, the return of the sun, whether it's the SON or the SUN, but it's the returning of the light, it's the returning of the love, it's the welcoming back of heaven on earth, right? So like there are stories that prophesize this. When we look at the stories of the Hopi, they say that when all beings from all nations can come together in peace, that is the time of change. However, before that, it takes a time. Mhm. However, before that, it takes a time of war and disgruntlement and pain and suffering so that we can see where we need to come together. And the Hopi say that what brings the beings together are the winds of change, right? It's time for a change. And so whenever it's a windy day like today, it always makes me think of that, that these are the winds of change that are happening right now. And it's bringing forth unity consciousness, unity in action, the coming together of beings from all four corners, right? So when I think about that, I'm like, well, what does that look like? Like, what on earth would that actually look like? Because I feel like we're seeing the war. We're seeing the pain and the suffering. We're seeing the earth be harmed, and we're seeing people being harmed even more and more each day. And so I'm like, okay, so then that's leading to uniting in peace. It's leading to harmony. It's leading to togetherness. It's leading to all of that. So then I'm like, well, what does that look like? So kind of feel into that. Kind of open up your mind and your heart. And I just want to talk about what that would look like to you. If the Christ came back, the Buddha came back, right? The love came back, the peace came back, the light, the love, the whatever came back. What would that actually look like to you? What would it feel like to you? What would change in your life if love came through like a tsunami, like a flood of plasma, like an ocean wave, and it literally purified everything and created that life of peace and harmony? What would that look like to you?
You had said something to me and everything on this subject about love in this world. And I was like, I don't feel it. And a lot of people are like, yeah, Jesus got here, but he missed that first buzz. He's coming soon, though. He's going to get on the next one. But the thing is, you said that if I do the butterfly, a domino effect, if I cast out something and then it hits someone else, and then it hits someone else, and someone else, and then someone, I was led to believe that, it starts with me. And then wherever it travels, it gets there, So I don't have that negative, watching the news, attacking these non-combative people, could be mothers, could be shut-ins, could be kids, and that was a non-combative target. But the thing is, all the people that saw that, and they felt like me. And I don't know if I said it and someone else heard it, and they started repeating it or something like that. But then that's that's the thing. It touches me, then it touches someone else, and then on and on and on and on. So that's what I got out of it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
The first thing that I thought of is that I would be able to live and be able to afford to live in a house. And I think that that's materialistic and it doesn't take advantage of the light and the winds changing. And I have some of this, but what I would feel would be with the light would embrace me and hold me and keep me warm. And the wind would bring in the serenity and the peace and the kindness. Those are really the things that I love. That's what I want out of life, is peace, serenity, kindness, love. Unfortunately, we have to live in a real world world, and that sucks.
Thanks for sharing that. And then Alan.
Oh, so, you know, me, I don't have a deeply spiritual or religious background, and honestly, I think we have had a lot of shootings lately, I'll give you that, but the world has been in war somewhere at some point for a very, very long time. So I don't know that we're terribly more violent than we used to be, and therefore closer to, you know, being reborn in a perfect world, if that's where you're going. However, if that were better, I mean, I would like to see a world where everybody has a place to live. And it wouldn't have to be a great place, but where people weren't greedy. But the sad truth of it all is, we have a lot of the problems we have is there's honestly just too many people. The amount of people, the population explosion we've had,
Thanos.
we just use up. We just use this earth and used it up and used it up and used it up as a group. And it's hard to spread it all around, at least in our current capitalist way. If everybody ate grain that would be great. But I think it would be great if everybody was good to each other. But sadly, sadly in the present time, I think it's a little naive so I don't hope for it, but it would be great, to have a place to live. It'd be great if, like, for the people that couldn't afford a big house, if we had apartment buildings where people could live, and all these things would be great if we had passed a law where all housing had to be have at least a few income-based apartments in it. All these things would be great, but unfortunately, the greed is so connected with the human condition. I don't know that we'll ever get there. So I appreciate your optimism. I just don't know if I have it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, Alan, what were you going to share?
What is our topic today?
Well, I just posed the question. Were you able to hear it?
What?
I posed a question. Were you able to hear it?
What question?
I had asked a question on what it would look like if love came in and washed through humanity.
Love. That's a very general term.
Well, I said more than that. I was just making it more concise because I had shared a lot and I just don't think you caught it.
Yeah, she said basically what you believe in if the world were to change for the better.
Mm-hmm. So if in some cultures there's stories of prophecy that the world unites in love and harmony and peace. And so the question was, what would that look like to you specifically?
Agape.
So while you think about that, I'd like to hear from a couple others. Yeah.
For me, love looks just like today. I used to think that it looked something different, try to figure out how it feel like to me and all this. But now I'm starting to come to realize that the center of peace and the love that I enjoy is in the midst of all that chaos. It's the ability to sit down like we're doing now and talk even though the world is going to challenge. That's real love to me. To Messiah, whatever anybody believes. And, I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person. So nature is something I'm really in tune with. So anytime that we have the opportunity, as long as there's nature, there's love to me every single day.
Would you expand on this? What would that then look like beyond you if more people felt or saw the world the way you do?
It would look like seeing people outside, not seeing people shut in, not seeing people too afraid to talk. It wouldn't look like gas, it wouldn't look like quarantine. Although those are parts, but it would look like the aftermath after people come out of quarantine, after people realize how important it was. It would look like daily life to them.
Thank you for sharing that.
You know, I just caught the tail end of that, but you were speaking about quarantine and something I saw on the news when they had everybody essentially indoors. And I didn't know much about them, but there's an Italian opera singer who is, I think he's blind, and they had him singing opera and essentially in the essentially abandoned, I don't know if, I think he was in Italy, but he might have been in Paris, the abandoned streets. And there was just nothing, there was no traffic, there was no anything, it was just the most beautiful thing I had ever seen.
Mm.
It was just so, what we can do as a culture, I mean, we just literally, for the public health and everything, we literally just shut everything down, and he was just doing this tribute to everybody in the middle of, it was just, it's beautiful.
So would you think that that is what maybe it would look like if this wave of light or love or unity came through, that there might be more people on the street singing?
I mean, beauty, yeah, I mean, beauty would be everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah, beauty would be everywhere. Thanks for saying that. What else would you see?
Thing is, and this is that model common thing about Stanos, half of the population of the world, disappeared. And then it we more for the rest of us, That right there, I mean, it just seems like in some chaotic universal way, it always happened that way. I mean, a lot of people die, some, pandemic or something, a murderous kind of thing, I'm not going to even talk about the Jews on that, but I'm just saying, it's just like we do something that it knocks something, and then it hits something, and it just wipes out all these, man. So this right here world can keep going on, and it'd be enough for everybody, enough room, places to stay, enough food for people to eat. And this is what Thanos thought. If he does that, he snap his fingers and take a half a population of the universe. It's galaxies, foreign galaxies, and all of the population would be sliced in half, right? And then other people would have more that survive that.
Can I come on for a second? I hear you, but to me, that sort of thinking has gotten us in a lot of trouble.
Nah, it happens anyway. It ain't even have to be.
Wait,
I know, but can I?
Yeah, would you let him
Sure,
share that?
all right.
And then
I just think that kind of thinking can get us in a lot of trouble. And actually, there are really a lot of resources that go unused. There's abandoned property, for example, all around the world, tons of abandoned property that nobody lives in. And half of it's government owned because it's been abandoned for tax purposes. There's plenty of land to grow crops on. It's not so much that there's not enough for everybody. It's just the way our society is set up. It's not geared to make sure there's enough for everybody. It's geared to sell it to the highest bidder.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yes, if we started having less children, that would help maybe. But, population, it's just we don't try to do that because that's not our goal as cultures. Our goal as cultures is for Bob and Sue and Johnny and everybody to make money, and then they take that money and they buy the pretty things they like, as opposed to making sure everybody can eat. I mean, it's not. The only reason I wasn't commenting on you directly, Rodney, but that kind of thinking has gotten us a lot of trouble, like during the war and other stuff, is that thinking that there's too many of us, so if we eliminate, and I know I said something about that we eliminate part of us or God eliminates part of us, things will get better. That might be true for a while, but then people will have more children and the population will explode again, and then what are we gonna do? So, I just think it's dangerous thinking.
right? So we could all just take a deep breath,
Sure.
just let it go.
Every piece.
So it's funny
Every piece.
that, the question was posed, if a wave of the divine, of love, of the source of energy, of humanity's coming together, of peace, of all these things came through and washed through, what would it look like for you? And you know what's real funny is that it was, well, this is what it wouldn't look like. This is how it would suck still. This is how we couldn't maintain it. This is still what's wrong with the world. Wow. So I just want to point out that some people in this world have chosen to not believe that something is possible, so much so that they can't even let their imagination open up to the idea and concept of it. And then at that point, we close off to the possibility of being swept away in that eternal energy, whatever that is. If the winds of change, if all beings that have ever walked on this earth plane that we've never even known about, all the history books that have been completely demolished. But when we look at the indigenous peoples from all over the world, they all say the same thing. They all say that there will be a time of war and there will be a time of peace. We will come together. We will live in harmony. There has been a great separation and a great divide between humanity. And then we will remember that that is not natural and we will come together. That's just the way of nature. Nature harmonizes itself all the time. If you separate the bird from the tree, the nest, it's going to fly back to the tree at some point because it's home. It likes to be in a tree. It's a bird. That's where they chill out, right? They might go to a different tree, but they still go home, right? They still harmonize, right? The flower, it blooms and blossoms. The bee comes and it pollinates it and does it again. And it's this cycle of life. Everything has a cycle and everything in nature itself harmonizes. We as people, when we start to doubt the ability to harmonize, we take our ability to harmonize out of the equation.
Thank you for reading.
We do.
That's what I was talking about.
Right? We completely change our ability to experience peace if we don't even think it's possible. I will never get better if I always believe I'm sick.
That again?
I will never get better if I have a belief that I will always stay sick. If I believe that I'm always going to be sad, I'm going to be sad. I will not ever feel joy, right? I have to open up to the possibility. It is possible that joy can be felt by me. Never had it, but it's possible. What would that even look like? Then I'm going to use my imagination. And I have a choice in the mind. I can open up my imagination and say, well, it would look like me laughing. It might look like me laughing until I have tears. It might look like I'm having friends around me laughing with me. I might look like I'm dancing. I might look like I'm swimming. I don't even know. Or I can let my mind close off the imagination and tell me all the reasons why I'm not going to experience joy, right? That is what we have the choice of, right? We have the choice. So that's why I pose this expansion to expand our mind into imagination of the heart.
Well,
What are you going to say?
I believe, I know it's the truth. It said, don't, so is a man's finger, so is he.
So is it. That's
So
right.
if you think negative,
Mhm.
you're gonna be negative. Think positive, you're gonna be positive.
So here's a question. How do you do that when you see something that is what we would call negative? How do you think positive when you see something negative?
For me, I push it aside.
Okay, so do you
But
ignore it?
What don't, listen to me.
I'm asking just for clarity.
What don't let something like that gravitate my mind?
Mhm.
Or what?
Mhm.
I'm better than that. I had to tell myself that. I better believe myself that.
So are you saying that you ignore it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I know it.
okay.
For what?
Okay,
I
I was just
see.
asking for clarity.
I
Hang on a
see.
second, hang on a
Right, go ahead,
second.
go ahead.
Hang on. Because someone else had their hand up.
I did.
Oh,
I know you did. Robin, you did.
You did.
Yeah,
Go
I was like,
ahead,
hold on.
Robin.
I was like, I saw somebody's hand
Right,
up. Yeah.
right, right.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. We're reading on Wednesdays, we read the fifth agreement, I think that's what it's called, the Jewish that book series. And yesterday we spent all day talking about imagination, right? And then she comes in here and talks about imagination. And the point in the book was what you're saying, is your imagination, if, say your imagination nothing's real, everything's a dream, for one thing. So your dream is strife and chaos and hardship and da-da-da-da. You can change that dream and use your imagination if you have to. Today I did it. On my walk here, I was tired. I didn't want to walk. And so I started saying, well, let's imagine that were back 30 years, 40 years, and these houses all have people, kids playing in the yard, and people socializing next door like they used to do, to take my mind off of that. And the thing is that I believe that their spirits could have been there. You know, that could actually have been happening, and I stayed in that imagination. But imagination, it can be real. If you want love, love can come to you. If you want joy, joy can come to you.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm so glad you shared that. Y'all want to try something? This is funny. Hang on a second. I want y'all to try this. Okay? Take a deep breath. Just let it go. Just imagine I have a lemon. Now imagine I'm cutting the lemon open, and I give each of you a slice of this lemon. Are you feeling it yet in your jaws? Is your mouth starting to salivate yet?
I'm being pumping bitter.
Now imagine taking this lemon and just biting into it. It's a fresh lemon. How many of you are salivating and just a little bit more?
I can taste it.
How many of you feel a little sensation in your jaw? If you've ever like bitten into a lemon and you're like, whoa,
it's tart.
right? Yeah.
Good.
So the funny thing is that nobody had a lemon, but our imagination, our mind just told us something. And so the imagination created a physical response. So we salivate. Think about your favorite food, whatever your favorite food is. Like, just think about it. Imagine like biting into it or having it, like smelling it. You have an abundance of it. You might start to salivate. You might actually have a stomach growl, because what that does is it actually creates a pattern in the stomach to say, oh, I'm going to get ready for this food. It creates digestive juices to start to flow. The imagination creates a different response in the body. Now, if I imagine that, you know, I don't want to get graphic, but like some person in like a Freddy Krueger mask comes in here and they're holding a weapon. Thinking about that might create a little reaction in your body, right? The imagination is the tool. It is the tool for how we can see the future, and it's also the tool of how our body can prepare for it. So what if, right, in this imagination space of all the prophetic everything that's ever been written ever, that there is a great flood, right? Noah's Ark, a great flood. What if it's a cosmic flood, right? What if the firmament, the dome opens up and we get flooded with cosmic waters? What if we get flooded with peace and harmony? What if we get flooded with literal light? We have a solar flare that floods us. Whatever, right? We have a flood of something that can wash you away and take you to something better. And where it takes you is where your mind will take it. Right? What if, right? What if, right? This is expansions. We're expanding consciousness. So this wave of whatever is washing you away. And little do you know, it's taking you where your imagination will lead you. Right? Hang on a second. Where would you want it to take you? Would you want it to take you where, yes, everybody has homes. People are singing. Neighbors are talking to each other. Everybody has more than enough. Wow, we don't live in a capitalistic, greedy society, but we can still profit and share our wealth in abundance. You know, that we can take care of each other, but we aren't relying on each other to be cared for because we're self-sufficient, we're autonomous, right? Like, to be able to imagine that, what if this wave of whatever takes us where your heart and imagination are guiding you? And that's where you get dropped off. That's where you get reborn. What if that's the case? So then I ask again, right? Where would it take you? What would it feel like? What would it look like? And just ask yourself in the mind, not necessarily answering it in this right now, but seeing if your mind goes to lack. Well, but the system has set us up this way, so we're already caged. Well, then what if then that drops you off right back in that? But you got Robin over here and she's like, well, man, the neighbors are out and they're singing and they're playing. So then she gets dropped off in that. And you are like, I love connecting with nature. I feel it in all that nature is. I feel it in the harmonic resonance and frequency of the earth herself. So this wave drops you off on a beautiful island where you literally can pick the mangoes and the avocados and you have everything and everyone you need. What if this is what all the prophecies have been writing about? What if?
So, taking us back for a minute.
I don't
'cause
want to go
wanna
too,
make
I
this
would
comment.
like to not go too far back.
Well, it's just, all I wanted to say is there's a third choice. We talked about there were two choices, either,
Oh, yeah.
and I think a lot of times in life, and I went to make it a while ago, a lot of times in life we get this idea that there's one or the other. It's either all positive or it's all negative. There is a third choice. The third choice is looking at, seeing the negative.
Mhm.
There are negative things in life and accepting that those things are there
Mhm.
and seeing the positive things in life and looking toward positive. But a lot of times people have this idea that everything is just awful, or they have this idea that everything is great. As long as I think everything is great, my life is going to go great.
Mhm.
And I found in my recovery, neither one of those are exactly true.
So where
Some
would you be
things are
dropped
positive.
off? What's the middle for you?
The middle is, it's important for me with my mental illness to realize, and there is an objective reality as much as I can, what that is, and live in it, do what I need to do, and get the best out of life. And to me, being in a cloud of super euphoria, being manic would be one version of that, or being in a cloud of super depression about, oh, how awful everything is unhelpful. So that middle ground for me is just every day, just living and accepting the way things are. If there's a shooting, that's horrible. I'm sorry that happened. I feel for those people. But, also looking at, there's, on the way here, I saw a tree. And somebody just had a tree planted very, very skillfully. And it had, I don't know what the tree was, but it had pink blossoms. And the blossoms had fallen off the tree on the ground. And whoever, I'm assuming they planned it this way, whoever did the landscaping, it made this beautiful display of these pink flowers. And I happened to drive by, and that was just beautiful. But that was something in reality. I didn't have to pretend it was there. And so that to me is, it's good to have a good imagination, but it's also good to see what is real around you that is good.
I'm so
And what's
glad you
real.
mentioned that.
Thank you. I meant to,
Yeah.
sorry, I
because-
didn't mean to
No,
take
it's
it
all
back
good.
too far.
Because where do we get imagination from? We have to be inspired by something. Where do you get inspiration? What's here now? Right? Whatever's here now. This is what we can use as inspiration to ignite our imagination, to ignite a heartful imagination, or it can ignite a hurtful imagination. Right? So I see a whole town whose water supply was just poisoned. We'll just put this one in the what if. We'll call it Ohio. We'll just say that Ohio was just poisoned. Okay.
No problem.
Now I have a choice, right? I can get into the victim consciousness and be like,
It is
Whoa.
what it is.
right? There is a
I'm sorry.
victimization. There is a victimization. And there's also the woe is me, I'm a victim and nothing can change, right? They're different.
Which doesn't help anybody really.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't help anyone, right?
I know.
Or I could be like, I'm so mad at this and this that caused it. And I can take it back to the Rothschilds and JP Morgan. I can tell you who just did this and BlackRock and who's owning what. And it's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And they're all profiting. I can get all angry about all of that.
And that.
Okay. So what does that do?
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
It literally does nothing. Okay. But if I sit and I think about the people and the animals and the water itself, right, and the land itself, the earth herself, the divine mother that we live on, that we come from, that we'll die on, right? And then my heart starts to feel some compassion because there's some sadness, right? There might be some anger that gets activated. So now I can start to think about solutions that comes from a fiery place. But if I don't have an imagination on what it would even look like for the waters to be clean, for the earth to be healed, for the people to be able to live on that land and grow the fruit and vegetables so that they can take care of each other, if I don't even see that as a possibility for anyone else, then what good am I doing,
Amen.
right? So with that, what good am I doing? And sometimes it's too hard to look at. I want to hear what you have to say. I just want to share this. Sometimes what we're looking at is too hard to look at, right? And we need to ignore it because we can't handle that. I feel that sometimes. And when we can look at it, if we can look at it through a lens of compassion and like, I may not be able to help this right now. I don't have the funds to go send my dad and my mom for water testing, and I'm just going to trust that they're not going to die anytime soon, because they live on that water. Okay, now I'm gonna love them even more. I'm gonna let this heart of compassion go out, and I'm not gonna let it take me down or harm them. Right? So that's why it's so important to get this heart of imagination activated. Because if the last day on earth is literally designed if the second day of your last day on earth is designed by what your imagination is creating, I would be really intentional about that.
Mhm.
I would be real intentional about that. What are you going to say?
What's the difference in hallucination and imagination?
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
So imagination and hallucination, they're very similar. I think it depends on, thank you. I think it depends on the way we act about it. For example, I'm going to use your example of walking here.
Mhm.
You used your imagination and it created this experience that got you through the walk. It got you to feel more joy. It got you to be here. That was an active use of imagination.
And trust.
Now, if she stopped at these houses to talk to the imaginated people and she was seeing them and telling others that they should be seeing them too, that's a hallucination. When I use my imagination, I'm really clear that it's mine. I might be able to share it enough to where y'all see it,
Right.
but it's when I expect someone else to interact with my imagination that can become the hallucination.
And there's
But it's a
audio.
fine line. It's a fine line.
But hallucination is something like a hoax.
Something like hopes.
Hoax.
Oh,
H-O-S.
can be, yeah. Yeah.
I have something to say on that moment that you just went out to say about these people that's, poison water, right? But that thing, it is what it is. But then there's also other people out there thinking this is a challenge. We can overcome this challenge. So it never was what it was. It never was a problem because we were here to fix it. And then if you say you need imagination, you inspire that kind of thing, because it is what it is. No, it never was what it was. And that's why I told you that was the most negative thing I've heard. So set them out. It is what it is. But you got imagination, you can fix it. It never was what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. Like, when I think about any great inventor ever, they were looking at something, they weren't mad at it. Maybe they were inspired by something that set them off. But they were like, you know what? I don't like something about this. What would make it better? Right? Like, what would make this better? Well, let me use free energy. Let me get the energy from the ethers. Oh, if we actually build a spire and we can put them on these buildings, and later on, eventually, they'll just say that they're churches. But what we can do is we can build these spires and we can gather energy from the ethers. What we can do is we can also hang bells in what we'll call bell towers, and we'll ring them together around the corners of the community. And what that's going to do is it's going to emit a sound wave so that people feel better. It's like if a whole town had the Tingshas, right? And then eventually, right, because everything goes through its cycle of birth, life, death, rebirth, then we start to fight each other because the greed came in. Let's take down all the bells. We need to make ammunition to hurt people, right? They took away a healing frequency. Let's demolish these buildings with these spires. Let's take away free energy. Okay. And we forget it all. We just forget it all, and we believe that we are separate, and then we start fighting because they're telling us that we have to fight the opposing team. And that's where we are now. We're at the end of it, which just now looks like, oh God, right? It's almost like if you've ever watched a football game and like it's a game, whatever, but it starts to get really close, and then it's like down to the last couple minutes, how everyone in the whole room is going to like stop what they're doing to watch.
Mhm.
They don't even care, but now it's starting to get exciting, right? So what if this is what we're watching now, this cosmic television of life, where it's starting to get exciting, We're all like down to the last wire. Do we trust that the team that wins will be in the highest good for all of the players on the field? That's a choice. And then after that, what does it look like? When the game is over, what does it look like? Right? Does it look like some people are like, yeah, I won, here's my trophy, everybody else can go home and good luck eating? You know, or what would it look like if they were like, oh my God, we just won. Let's all hug. Hey, everybody in the stands, come on down. Let's all celebrate together. Look, food for all. What do y'all need? What support do y'all need? Like, what if that game that ends changes everything, but we get to decide on what that looks like?
My
So the
mutant
story
powers
is
are
the-
the impact.
Yeah. And it's the story, you know, it's just reminding us about the
Yeah,
lemon.
that's my mutant powers. I'm an impact.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if this relates to being in my head. So when I was little, outside my window used to be this morning glow. It took me a long time to figure out what it was, but it was this flower, and every morning it would come up and it would bloom, and it was like beautiful. But when I get home from school, it's gone. But every day it did this. I can't remember if it did it on rainy days, but I know some days when the sun was bright, it would still be out. And I remember sitting in my window on weekend. I'd be glad to not be in school so I could watch it and see how long it stays. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3, sometimes it might just be 1. But every day, that was my thing. And I used to keep thinking to myself, I wonder if that flower like realizes it's raining outside. I wonder if that flower realized that it's not as hot today as it was yesterday. I wonder if that flower is going to tell other people to come out here and feel this. Or if they just coming because they're trying to figure out what this flower is doing. You know what I mean? As I was growing up and every single day doing that, sometimes my neighbors might see me sit on the porch, just staring at, you've been staring at something for hours, and then we just get to talking about this flower, just watch it. And then they started doing, oh man, it does come up every day. And that's how I kind of imagine, like, that's why, like, I've always imagined myself, just enjoy it. I just couldn't figure out whether the flower was telling other flowers or whether they were just seeing it. Seeing that they were doing something that they're doing, just drawn to.
What you say the name of that flower was?
Morning glory.
I love them.
Yeah, that's
They're so
beautiful.
cool. Thanks
I
for
used to
sharing
do- I
that.
used to watch some joints too, the same way, like where is this going?
I love that. And it, you know, it reminds me of us. You know, every day we have a new chance to bloom and blossom, whether anyone sees us or not. You know, we have this free will of our mind to say, yay, it's raining, or boo, it's raining. Yay, it's sunny, boo, it's sunny. We can say whatever about it. But every day we have an opportunity to open up to the possibilities because we got to open up to a new day, right? And if today is the last day that we're all going to bloom and tomorrow we don't, what if? But what if tomorrow when I do bloom, because we're eternal by energy standards, what if where we bloom is where we chose to plant ourselves? What if we just happen to drop into this reality? Someone planted us here, but next time we're planted, it's where we choose to be planted. What would it look like? What would it feel like?
That was just said. I don't know. That'd be
What,
horrific.
can he share first? Remember that?
Yes, I can remember.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
You know, it's about growth. You know, anything that don't grow, it dies.
Mm.
You know, sometimes you have to look at yourself and go inside yourself. Take the garbage out. Put the good stuff in here. There's a reason why each and every one is in here today. We're not here just to be here. It's about we want to grow. If we know, we'll grow.
Thank you for that.
So Jane, this is the deal. I'm gonna use my imagination and imagine goodness and happiness and love, and I love that when and so in a practical way of living day in and day out, this imagination does good for me because it's pulling me towards positive things. Is that the deal?
Yeah, and it prepares your body for a better result.
Okay.
So like say today you're just having a real shit day. You know, just shit day. Right? I cannot ignore it. I'm having a shit day.
Right.
I can imagine that tomorrow could be better.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to trust that tomorrow can be better. I'm going to hold the vision that whatever I'm going through right now in this shit is
Okay.
preparing me for the goodness that I know is coming. And then I imagine what would that goodness look like? Maybe it would look like me feeling better. Maybe it would look like me hanging out with somebody. Maybe it would look like me winning the lottery. Maybe it would look like whatever. And every day can be different. Every time we use our imagination, we can make it be something different, right? Literally, some days I imagine, like, what would it be like if today I wake up and someone had deposited $5 million in my account? Like, what would that even look like?
I know.
I mean, and so, and once I go, and then for me, in this example going here, for me, I all of a sudden go, well, I would give this to this, and this, like, this is what I would do first.
Right.
And then it's like, no, wait, let my imagination do something different. What trip would I book first?
Live in the moment.
Right? Or
Yeah.
what big item would I purchase first?
Right.
I don't know. But like create it different, like whatever. Just so
I
like
got you. I
so
get
being
you.
okay. Being
Excited
okay with
about the
where we
moment.
are.
Uh-huh.
Acknowledging
Excitement.
where we are.
Uh-huh.
Today is a shit day. Okay.
Uh-huh.
What are you
I
gonna
thank you.
Oh, I was just
Thanks for asking.
I was just gonna say, kind of on his comment, kind of on what you said, everything does grow and most everything does eventually die, but there's
Okay.
beauty even in death.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's important
Yeah.
to realize. I mean, that yes, we all grow and we all will eventually go, but there's some beauty in that,
But not yet.
Well, and I love
Not
that.
yet.
Well, yeah, not
Not
today.
today.
Not today,
Not in the
not
next,
this
not in the next,
moment,
not in the next 20
not the
minutes.
now.
We got 20 more minutes.
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm just saying 20
go
minutes.
ahead, go ahead.
But like, okay, so think about this, right? We've talked about, well, the world would be better if there weren't as many people. Well, we think that because we're in a lack mentality that we don't have enough
That's
to
not my
supply.
thought.
I'm not saying
I'm
yours.
just saying it has that
What I'm saying,
appearance.
yeah.
Go ahead.
so what I'm saying is, it seems like, okay, we have too many people. If we remove the people, we'll have more. Forgetting that that's a lack mentality, forgetting that we are in an abundant earth. This earth has more than we could ever ask for. It literally does, right?
Seems that way.
So then go back to that knowing, and then go back to like this wave of whatever, right? Light, love, water, who cares?
Location.
It's coming through. So what if that's the depopulation, but it's really just a reconfiguration.
Mhm.
So it's like, well, Robin's going to be dropped off. We already know where she's dropping off. We already know where you're dropping off. You're going to drop off in, I don't know, a place of neutral, right? You'll be in a neutral zone,
Calm.
a calm, you're going to be left on like floating on a little lake, so everybody gets dropped off. So then when you kind of come to, and you're like, whoa, where was I just dropped off? You're going to look around and be like, oh, everyone here is also grooving on just like vibing with the land right now. And like, we're all just chilling with the flowers. This is dope. Or you might come up and be like, yo, all the neighbors are out. And I remember Robin over there, right? So like, what if that is the reconfiguration, is that we get plunked down into wherever it was that your imagination of your heart created the moment you were swept away,
Where you
the
belong.
moment the solar flash hit, right? The moment the next big bang happened, the next flood, whatever,
Taken where you belong.
right?
Yes.
So I pose this because our minds are the great seer and creator, but it's the most influenceable part of us. And it's the most influential and influenceable. So others can tell me something and can influence my mind. I spoke of the lemon, right? I influenced your mind, but your mind influenced your body,
Pablo's door.
right? Yeah. So
Right.
what if we could just keep that up? Using this awareness to like expand our consciousness, expand our possibilities in just the way we feel. How would you want to feel? Joyful, easeful, comfortable, abundant, prosperous? And then pick one of them and just see what that feels like. See what it would feel like in your body if you had everything you needed. Don't forget, you already have everything you need exactly in this right now.
Right.
You really do. We all actually have everything we need in this right now moment.
Uh-huh.
None of us are lacking in this
Because we're
right
already
now.
doing it.
Because in this right now. right? So then just knowing that, like, oh my God, I actually have everything I need in this right now. And if I needed a little bit more, if I said, actually, I'm a little thirsty, I know someone would be quick to, here, you know, or it's literally right around the corner, right? In this right now, we have everything. We actually have more than we need. We have more chairs than we need. We have more space than we need. We can turn the water faucet on. We have more water than we need. We have more than one bathroom, so we're golden on that. We have supporters beyond these walls. We got more sun than we need right now. We have more air than we can need. Nobody's like, needing more right now. So just kind of sitting in that awareness of like, whoa, we actually have so much more than we need right now. Then the body starts to kind of absorb that knowing, right? We change our electromagnetic field when we walk out into the world. So we start to get more of that. We see more of that. We experience more of that. We share more of that.
I know you talking about living on down planet, but you know what? We're not grateful till we lose it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we can really see how much it means to us.
Yeah.
After we lose it, then guess what? Then we complain.
Yeah.
But John, you got it. You got to show gratitude. We have to show gratitude because anything you don't show gratitude to, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
I guarantee that.
Yeah. That's the beauty of death. That's the beauty of death. Because if you walked out there and that flower wasn't there, there would be that moment of, oh God, where did it go? And there would be that deep sadness, and that deep want for more, want for it again, want for that moment back, to see it one more time. And that feeling is so expansive of the heart to let ourselves grieve and hold that sadness and like move it through. It's such a beautiful thing. And it leads us to gratitude. It leads us to more joy. It leads us to more celebration, right? So it's like, imagine being swept away. One more little, imagine this one. Imagine being swept away, right? And your imagination's like, Garden of Eden. I don't know what that would look like, right? But Garden of Eden.
Very green,
That's what I
would
want.
imagine.
Yeah, all the green, all the fruit trees, I don't know, unicorns, Garden of Eden with unicorns, right? And you're like being washed away, you're in surrender, and you're like floating along, you're like, this is so great. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, but where's everybody else? Where are my friends? Where are my family? You start going against the current. You stop your imagination from taking you where you were fully meant to go, because all of a sudden you went into lack. Rather than being swept away, Garden of Eden, and you're so grateful for all the beings that you got to know before. And that just sped you up, right? Like someone put the turbocharge on the speed in which you were taking. Like, I'm so grateful that I got to meet a Robin and a Rodney, and oh my God, they were so fun in my
He was
life.
so much. He was too
Right?
much.
And we have that gratitude for whoever, whatever that we did have. And we're actually starting to practice the Buddhist teachings of non-attachment.
Yeah.
And we're taking the practice of non-attachment and we expand it into gratitude, which catapults us
all
through the pathway of the heart,
non-attachment. I was saying.
So,
Oh,
okay,
okay. One thing, just one quick thing. All right.
really quick.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's try this.
I'm gonna try.
Breathe.
Check this out. Propaganda stops all that imagination when you get stuck on propaganda.
Sure is. Thank you for that. Because the imagination comes from within. If something doesn't inspire the heart to imagine, then it's propaganda. It's created out of greed, right? It's created with an ulterior motive to get you to spend your energy, your focus, whatever, on something that lines the pockets of someone or something else. So being able to differentiate what is propaganda, what just created fear, and then what is my mind of the heart imagining now, right? So that's the invitation. I'm closing because of the timeline that I want
See,
to.
that's
So
all.
I'll tell you after.
So
I try to keep you as long as I can.
I know. So
Come on.
while we
You
close,
need it. Okay.
an invitation just for the, I'm going to just chime these 3 times. So let the frequency of these just move through your body and clear out, if you want, any doubt, any lack, any judgment, any fear, whatever it is that you know is not going to serve you or your fellow humans, right? Anything that you would think that this sound could wash away, and make space in you, your body, your mind, and your heart for whatever it is that would be in the highest good of you. Use your imagination. See it, sense it, feel it, however that looks and feels to you. Okay, so I'll do 3 times, and the whole time you're just going to breathe in however deep and full you feel good with. So let your imagination open. Anything you don't want leaves. Everything you want comes in. And just take a deep breath in. And just let it go. So that's the invitation. Just to stick with every breath in as you're walking around. If you're like, I don't like that. I don't like that because it's causing harm, causing pain. Just let it move through you and imagine the better. Imagine the better of that. If you see someone hurting, imagine them feeling better. If you see someone without enough, imagine them abundant. Do it with yourself. Imagine the new earth, the new world.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful that y'all have been here with me to like move through this conversation.
I know, it's journey been well.
I love it.
Oh,
And-
too.
And I'm gonna tell everybody, good morning, on the online, that I'm thankful that you all joined us, and please check all the good stuff out that PRN is offering. Please keep staying tuned. I love y'all.